Hey chaps, been a crazy couple of weeks, but I'm finally back on the camera, and today we are going to be diving into our 𝘼𝙍𝙬 boot. So before we get into the nitty gritty, let's talk about how this boot came into our range. So 18 months ago we came out with our African Ranger, which many of you will be familiar with. We partnered up with the Game Rangers Association of Africa, and for every 10 pairs that we sold, we pledged to donate a pair to a ranger in need. Now the Game Rangers Association of Africa, they are responsible for allocating these donations, and to date we have not only raised but put onto feet over 2,000 pairs of boots. Now we had a chat with the Game Rangers Association, and in the beginning we thought we'll just kit out a handful of rangers here and there, which is why we came up with quite a versatile boot to start. But when we started raising so many pairs that we could kit out so many rangers with, we decided that we needed a boot that we were able to kit out anti-poaching units. Now these are the most hardcore of hardcore rangers. They're walking anywhere from 5 to 15 miles a day, sleeping out in the African bush, and they needed something pretty much indestructible. So we then decided to come out with kind of looks like a military boot, but we decided to call it our 𝘼𝙍𝙬𝙬, which is short for African Ranger 8-inch. Now we're going to go through this boot in a short moment, and you will see that the difference between the low cut and the 𝘼𝙍𝙬 is huge. These two boots are on completely opposite ends of the room, and we are thinking of adding something in between these two, but for now these are just the two that we are running with. So our low cut African Ranger boot, there's tons online about this boot and the specs. We'll put links below to 𝘼𝙬𝙬𝙩𝙬𝙀, Rose Anvil, and various other reviews that have been done on this boot, and you can then compare it to the 𝘼𝙍𝙬𝙬. Now there hasn't been much talk on this 𝘼𝙍𝙬𝙬, although many of the rangers that we have kitted out are currently wearing this boot. So today we're going to go from top to bottom, dissect the boot and go through every single spec, and we're going to show you what we're going to be adding to the range in a couple of months' time. So on a side note, before we jump into the specs of this boot, and for those of you new to the Jim Green brand, we pride ourselves on making great value for money and long-lasting boots. One of the reasons we came out with this initiative to kit out rangers in boots is because we are using this as our marketing. Rather than spending this money on Facebook or Google ads, we wanted to put our product to the test and show you that this is really the best value for money boot that you can get. So we are looking forward to getting out there and showing you some of these rangers in action. These guys are located in some of the most remote areas of Africa, so it is a little bit tricky, but we are working on getting some kind of camera gear and microphones to various rangers to get some feedback for you. Now let's dive into the nitty-gritty of this boot. So to start, and for reference, our 𝘼𝙍𝙬𝙬 boot is the same spec as our Razorback. Now many of you may be familiar with our Razorback, but what we basically did here is that we took the Razorback and just made it really tall. So from the top here, we've just got a subtle piece of ankle padding for support. When you're tying those laces nice and tight, it just decreases the pressure on your calf. You've got an 8-inch height, and then you've got the reinforced heavy-duty hooks and eyelets. Moving on to the rest of the upper is that we run with a full grain 2.2 millimeter leather upper, and the big secret to this boot, which is the same as our Razorback, is that the boot is fully leather lined and double lasted. Now we've made a video on what is a double lasted boot, which we'll put links to in this video as well, but what this basically does is you go from having a single layer of leather to now having 2 layers of leather, combining to make almost 4 millimeters of leather surrounding your foot. Now this doesn't only add to the durability, but this adds a water resistant property to the boot. Now that's not waterproof, water can still get in, but if you're going to use a beeswax or any kind of waterproofing product, water can stay out for a good number of hours. So one thing that we did do with the 𝘼𝙍𝙬𝙬 boot, and slightly out of our traditional ways, is that the 𝘼𝙍𝙬𝙬 comes with matching shoelaces and not our traditional green. The reason we did this is that we understand that this is a work boot, and not many of you can arrive at work with, some Jim Green laces on your boots. So now the upper, it all comes together with a bellows tongue. that goes all the way up to the very, very top hook. Now you can imagine if you're a ranger walking 5 to 15 miles a day, this upper is basically made like a little tank on your feet. It's made to crunch through the bush, and it's made to be comfortable for those long days on your feet. Being a lot of leather in this boot, there is going to be some break in time, but once it's broken in, it is well worth it. So now let's move on to the midsole. Now this midsole is the same as the Razorback and many of our other stock items, and that is we have a polyester woven lasting board and then a polyester woven midsole. Number of our customers, if they look after our boots, they get 2 to 3 resoles out of them. On our channel, we've also got a couple of videos where we've resold 20-plus-year-old boots, so we'll put some links up to those as well. So now onto the last spec of the boot, and that is our outsole. So currently we are only running with our JG lug outsole. Now this sole is designed for rangers to do the 5 to 15 miles a day, crunch through any bush, any thorns that comes their way, and it is of a firm feel. Now, for those of you working on flat surfaces or concrete, it may not be well suited for that, although it does, after a bit of break in time, it does become a lot more comfortable. But great news is that in a couple of months' time, we're going to be adding 2 new versions of the 𝙎𝙬𝙾𝙯 to our range, and that is in our legendary fudge leather, and in one of our more newer leathers, the Houston brown. Now both of these boots are going to come with the matching laces and our extremely comfortable wedge sole option. So with that in mind, just to summarize the 2 options that are going to be available to you, is that you're going to have the chrome tanned leather upper lug sole. Now this is for someone working in heavy duty environments. It's the same boot that the Rangers of Southern Africa are using at the moment. And you know, this, as I said earlier, it's like having a little tank on your feet. For those that are working on concrete all day or on a shop floor, we've come out with the 2 boots in the oily nubuck, and it's rounded off with our comfort wedge sole. So thanks very much for watching, and chaps, we do read every single comment that you do leave below. So if you have any recommendations or some constructive feedback for us, please just leave that comment below. And a number of you that are watching this channel aren't subscribed, so if you could hit that subscribe button and like this video, it does go a long way for a small brand. So just before we close off, just some exciting new styles and things that we are working on. The newest one, and one that's going to be in stock in a couple days after this video is released, is our African Ranger in the Houston brown. Now this leather has done really, really well in our fudge, and we're looking forward to now offering it in the oily brown pull-up. We are, as I mentioned earlier, which hopefully by Christmas we'll have the 𝙎𝙬𝙾𝙯 with the wedge sole, and then little sneak peek, we are working on, no, oh man.
2 hours later.
He's videoing still. Then yeah, just a little sneak peek is that we are working on a more formal version of our baobab boot. This is a natural veg tan leather. This is what we're calling a chestnut leather, but we are just waiting on our sole supplier and mold maker because we are working on a new, more formal sole. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on our next episode.